So today let's talk about crying. How often do you cry? Do you cry every day? How long has it been since you've had a day when you didn't cry? Is crying good for you? It's something we all do. I was never a person that cried very much my whole adult life. I maybe cried 5 times before the last 2 months. I'm not saying that there weren't times that I felt emotional and some tears welled up in my eyes. But in terms of having a good, out and out sobbing cry, that was just not something I typically did. But I've done it every single day since I lost my husband 2 months ago. Sometimes I manage to keep that to myself. I cry in the shower or in bed at night or someplace I'm sure I won't be heard. Sometimes when I know I'm really alone, I kind of wail and make a sound like a wounded animal. Supposedly crying is good for you. Someone told me that was the case, and I researched it on the internet. And actually, Harvard Medical Site said that crying for emotional reasons does release toxins from your body, and it causes the release of endorphins, which cause a pleasurable sensation. So it does help you to feel better, supposedly. Sometimes afterwards you just feel emotionally drained, and so you can have a period of quiet rest. So I don't think there's anything wrong with crying, and you should do it if you need to. One of the things I find very interesting about this is that, in the Bible, the shortest verse in the Bible says Jesus wept. Now, do you know where he was when he wept? He was outside the tomb of his very good friend Lazarus. And he stood there and he cried. And he let people see him crying. And you know what? He did that even though he knew that he had the power to raise Lazarus from the dead and that he was in fact going to do it. But he still cried. So it seems to me that God must understand that even though we can rationally in our minds say there's some reason for what's happened, this is somehow God's plan for my life, the Bible says all our days are measured out in his book. It says that precious in the sight of the Lord is the death of his saints. He cares deeply about when we die. But if he wept, even though rationally he knew he was about to heal Lazarus, it must be okay for us to cry, even though we may rationally in our minds know this seemingly awful thing that happened has to be somehow part of God's plan. This morning when I was fixing my breakfast, about the time I cracked one egg into the pan and was thinking about the fact that it was only one egg because I'm alone now, I thought, this must be the life that God has chosen for me now. His choices have always been better than mine in the past, so there must be good reason for this now, good reason why I'm alone and have to go forward like this. But at the same time, that doesn't mean I'm not going to cry. And I take great comfort in the fact that Jesus cried outside the tomb of Lazarus, even though he knew he was about to raise him from the dead. So take comfort, but at the same time, go ahead and cry if you need to.